This is where my my heart is in my mouth.
Hello.
Because our next speaker, Becky Shaw, is parked in a lay-by.
Okay.
There she is on screen. Give us
Okay.
a wave, Becky. I hope you. Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Now, we've been talking a lot about integration and stuff earlier on. Now, Becky Shaw is a lady who knows a lot about integration. She was brought in to sort out a bit of a problem in West Sussex County Council, and now she heads up both West and East Sussex County Council. So she knows all about integration, and this is where I hope we can hear her from her secret lay-by somewhere in deepest Sussex. And yes, oh, that speeding cop is just checking your tire pressures. So Becky, take it away, and then we're going to attempt with the wonders of technology to take questions from the floor, and you'll be joining virtually our glittering panel of experts to take questions. So over to you.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and fantastic to be with you this morning. I'm really sorry not to be with you in person. Can I just check that in case can you hear me? Could someone do me a thumbs up? Yes, brilliant. Oh, that's great. Look, it's even slightly more bizarre than Jeffrey describes, because I'm actually on my way to the Local Government Association conference in Harrogate. So I'm actually parked up in a lay-by just outside on the borders of Lincolnshire, I think. But anyway, really pleased to be here. And I hope we can really impress that we're making the technology work. It's such a pleasure to join Louise and Stephen and so many other colleagues from Healthwatch across the region. I was involved in the setting up of the Healthwatch system. I went and gave evidence to the House of Lords Committee and worked with the department and with voluntary sector colleagues to help shape it. So I really understand how powerful the potential is for Healthwatch when it's done well to play a really invaluable role. A role which is right at the core of the local health and social care system, championing the views and the rights of local people, being really valued members of the health and wellbeing boards and the safeguarding boards, as well as other partnerships. As Chief Executive of both county councils in Sussex, I've been working closely with Adam Doyle and Stephen Lightfoot in particular, and others on the arrangements for the new statutory Sussex integrated care system. And I really stress the word system in that, because I think in order to successfully drive better outcomes for the people of Sussex, we really must recognise that it's a network, it's not just a number of meetings, and it's not a hierarchy. And that is a system in which both my councils are really ready to play a full part and looking forward to it. As local authorities, we really strive to have a strong, positive working relationship with our NHS partners, with our voluntary sector partners, particularly sometimes with the NHS, it's not without its moments, and it's absolutely right that we have challenges and that we deal with them properly. But I think the response to the pandemic and now to the aftermath of the pandemic is ensuring that we're able to build on some really strong foundations. It is different in East and West Sussex, but both underpinned by a common strong commitment on all sides to make this work. For local authorities, we are really committed to increasing integration to improve our residents' experience of care, and also to improve how we work together, not only with our NHS, but all of our borough and district partners, the voluntary community, social enterprise partners, to make sure really focusing on improving the overall health and well-being of our populations, as well as the services that we have when people are sick and vulnerable. So we think that the move to the Sussex integrated care system really cements those relationships and provides some really interesting opportunities. So to support this work in Sussex, we've agreed that place is of fundamental importance to delivering the changes we want to see. I'm really aware that place can mean different things in different circumstances and to different people, but in this context, what we've agreed is that place is the geographical boundary formed by the health and wellbeing boards, and those mirror the upper tier authority boundaries. And we will take the responsibility in each of the two counties to ensure that our borough and district partners are fully engaged. So place, or as we all call it, East Sussex, West Sussex, Brighton and Hove, is where we bring together all the organisations across local government, other public services, businesses, education, voluntary sector, whole range of people to plan how we use our collective resources to the very best effect to our populations. And that includes not just the people that we've already talked about, but public health, social care, housing, leisure, environment, skills and employment, and our work, or the really broad work that councils do to try and support the social and economic well-being through a whole variety of partnerships. In other words, I think something like 80% of all the things that determine how healthily we're all able to lead our lives are located at that local level. So because of that, I think a priority for us is how we work well together with our local communities, because that's the thing that will have the biggest impact. It includes joining up care and support close to where people live to support their independence in the broadest sense. And also it's the best way that we'll reduce inequalities, which again is a really key shared priority, particularly post-pandemic. And I think that Healthwatch and other local and voluntary organisations have a really important role in facilitating those partnerships with our communities themselves. And they can so often lead on finding the solutions to their challenges with our support and enabling, but giving them the space to work out what's the right thing for them. So a number of people have said to me, what does the change to an ICS really mean for people on the ground? And I think for us, it really is focused on how we work in partnership. It means that we can plan services and use our resources more effectively to improve the quality and people's experience of services. I know that the NHS long-term plan sets out there's a clear role for the NHS itself, not only in providing healthcare, essential though that is, but also working with others on the social and the economic aspects that really impact on people's ability to stay healthy and to help them avoid getting ill in the first place wherever that's possible. And actually moving into being an ICS reinforces this approach to a new duty to cooperate, which strengthens our existing partnerships. So in the recent integration white paper, there's some further reinforcement to that, and it really sets out some clear expectations about the role of each of the places of Sussex, the shared accountability for outcomes and more flexibility in the way that we manage our financial resources across the NHS and social care, which means that we will be able to take integration even further than we've been able to before, which I think is a really positive thing. Aside from that, the councils will continue to be responsible for our services and for our budgets, such as social care and public health, focusing on focusing on the needs of our population. So that's one of the things that doesn't change under the ICS, and that's why it makes such sense to ensure a really clear focus on the value of the partnerships that we have at a place level within the ICS, so we continue to be able to discharge that responsibility for public money to be democratically accountable to our populations, as well as to be sovereign organisations. But we know, as well as the place stuff, there are some really significant benefits for some areas to plan and to work together at a Sussex-wide level. So that's particularly, in my view, about specialist services, particularly some of the children's services, for services with people with learning disabilities, which we can just better meet the needs of our population, and other areas, whether that's about workforce, whether it's about digital, whether it's about frailty. So I think we just need to think imaginatively and think, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Where are the biggest opportunities? So as we proceed down this new route, or this familiar route, but with new vigour, the health and wellbeing boards will continue to have a really important role in guiding and informing the direction for the new Sussex Health Care Assembly from a partnership perspective, and also through their health and wellbeing strategies. The local strategies will set out the overarching strategic direction and the shared priorities that both local authorities and the NHS shared, based on the evidence-based, really strong evidence bases that we have about the needs of our population. And of course, Healthwatch, I hope, will continue to be really key members of those boards, together with our borough and district colleagues, the local NHS, voluntary sector, all of those working together to ensure that we are not only hearing, but really putting into practice the voice and the experiences of local people, and putting that right at the heart of our discussions. So we know there's still lots more to do to embed the new statutory ICSs. Sadly, I think it won't be news to you, that won't be all completely done and dusted on the 1st of July, although that is a really important milestone as we go live. As councils, we're really looking forward to exploring the new levels of flexibility that the white paper has signalled, particularly, as I say, in relation to integrated work, but also to the way we can work and support Healthwatch to ensure that the evidence about what's needed locally is the thing that we hold at the core of what we do. So in East Sussex, our collaboration with Healthwatch spans many really key areas of work in adult services. Healthwatch co-chair our inclusion advisory group there, which is where we ensure that equality considerations are at the core of what we do. Healthwatch are really key partners in our disability rights reference group and in the communications and engagement steering group, and I know currently are playing a really important role in co-developing our new adult social care strategy. That all of those things can demonstrate just how important and integrated, not just integration between councils and the NHS, but also with Healthwatch and with that wider group of partners. So that's really key stuff. I know that in both East and West Sussex, partnership working and sharing of values about co-production, co-development, and really inclusive community engagement is absolutely what we know we need to make sure that there is that really strong voice provided, not just to influence, but also to challenge how health and social care services are provided in the county. And Healthwatch is absolutely crucial to that. And it is unified and it is seamless when it's done well. And we know that it works when we know we're having the conversations that we need to have and that they are the most important of the conversations. Now, I think often in this county, with the demographic that we've got, particularly in the two county areas, we often talk about adults, but it is really important that we think about children's. You may know that in the local authority part of the children's services, there are some really, really substantial reforms that are being proposed in the way that our schools are governed and run, in the way that SEND expectations and services are organised. And indeed, the latest Josh McAllister report is having a really fundamental look at the way in which children are supported when they need the highest levels of intervention. So I think when you put that together with all that's happening in the adults world, the move towards the care cap, including charges for care and particularly self-funding, we know that, again, in East and West Sussex, in the counties, because of the nature of our counties, that potentially will lead to some really big changes, not just in the way that the local authority has to work. We are going to be assessing a whole group of self-funders who have previously we've never had any involvement with, but we will need to assess them in order to start the tariffs running as they build up their contribution to the cap. So that's a whole new area of business for us, and it also has the potential to have a really profound effect on the provider market, which again everyone in the room will know has in itself been profoundly affected and actually in a lot of cases made more fragile as a result of COVID and all that's followed. So there's a huge amount of change that's coming in the system. We know that the economic challenges and the cost of living challenges, and in both of those are things that tend to really drive demand for social care services, whether that's adults or children. But it's also affecting businesses and the county councils themselves. We are just going to need to make sure that we are very well sighted on what the evidence base is, with what people need and what we're trying to achieve. So as we are finding our way through the kind of choppy waters that I think are ahead and some really uncertain financial outlooks, that we find the best way to do this. So as I said, we know that that will lead to increase in demand. We know that arm in arm with Healthwatch that we can absolutely make sure that we make the best use of the resources that we've got. The two county councils, they are very different places. They serve very different communities. But actually, although the words are different, at core, there are 5 things that I think it's really important that you know that we're about. One is about economic prosperity, a really fundamental belief that for people to be healthy and happy, that actually being gainfully employed, whether they're paid or not, is really important. Both authorities absolutely committed to keeping people of all ages safe, really committed to making sure that we work with people in a way that means that they're able to fulfill their own potential, that we make really best use of the resources that we've got. And the really important thing is, A, that we're spending public money and we have some really important duties of stewardship of that public money, but also that we need to think about not just the short term, but the long term. So we are taking action to tackle the things that are driving climate change, but also the things that will shape our climate in future. So the other thing that both authorities have in common, and I know everyone in this room will share with me, that we are going to go at this with energy, with determination, and we will do it in partnership. I am very aware that we have got our work cut out for us, and that it's only by working together that we will achieve the great things that we're certainly capable of. Thank you very much. I really look forward to the questions.
The technology works.
Yay!
That's amazing.